to show you FusionReady. Who's excited? Who's ready? Awesome. My name is Daisy Erber. I am the Partner Alliance Manager for Onix, and I work directly with Lucidworks quite a bit of my day. I also manage some of our partner relationships on the West Coast, so I'm very excited about this product. What we're going to cover for you today is a little bit about Onix. I think it's important to discuss the history of how we've gotten here. Are you ready for the cloud? We will start Fusion. We'll work on FusionReady, and then there'll be a live demo for you that will happen in front of you. And those who submitted their websites to be part of this demo will they have their name in a drawing, and we'll be doing the Chromebook giveaway. So a little bit about Onix. Founded in 1999, but we've had an enterprise search practice since 2002. What did I say?
Yes.
So we've been doing search for quite a while. It's pretty exciting and fun stuff for us. We became one of the first platinum partners with Lucidworks, and we got the award for their North American Partner of the Year in 2018. So this is our skill set. This is our favorite subject and our fun place to be. Another fun fact that I absolutely love and can't stop talking about is our 96% customer sat rating. That is from our support team. So those are support tickets that have been solved and come back with happy customers. It's a pretty big deal. A little bit more about our partnerships. These are some highlights for everybody. We were the Partner of the Year for Google Cloud for 2018 with Google, and we've been a 9-time award winner for that. You can see a few more of our partnerships here. If you do not see one up there, it's still worth asking, because there's a lot more. So I'm going to bring up, now this is Scott Mabe. He's going to share with you, he's our DevOps Solutions Engineer from our cloud practice, certified in AWS and Google Cloud Platform.
Hello there. So what I'm going to do really quick is if you've ever watched a cooking show, they always put the cake in the oven at the beginning, like, all right. So this is kind of the behind the scenes magic. So we're just going to go over and just to keep us honest, I just want to do a quick check. Spelling counts. So just as a quick check, so you can tell that we're live, I just went through environment Fusion Demo 1, where we see we have 3 pods. I'm going to be building out Fusion Demo 2. As you can see, no resources are found. Is it create cluster? Mm-hmm. All right, so creating cluster. Spelling counts. So as you can see, we're now creating a cluster of 3 pods for Fusion Demo 2 namespace. And now we'll just swap back to Daisy again.
So we're being honest, guys. May the Wi-Fi not break. Stay off your phones. So who is the Onix Cloud practice? Where Scott comes from? We've got 70+ cloud professionals in our team. Onix is a large organization. We span across a lot of different industries and markets, but this is a little bit about our cloud practice. 28 cloud partnerships. Shocker, I couldn't add more partners to that slide, right? And Chris Cook is also here with me today. Chris Cook is a solutions engineer for Fusion with our team. He's going to really be putting the frosting on Scott's cake there and handling the demo for you guys. And he'll be showing you all the steps to get Fusion live on a website. A little bit more about our search practice. 200+ search deployments in our history. And not gonna lie, that number's probably a little higher, but that's what I can document for you. It's pretty exciting stuff. We've seen a lot of things. So are you Fusion ready? We're gonna combine Google Cloud Platform with Lucidworks Fusion. Aligns to our new product, thanks to the collaboration between these two organizations called FusionReady.
Hello again. So I guess the big question here is really, are you ready for the cloud and why you might want to move to the cloud? True story, this is a data center that I used to muck around with in Baltimore City. Obviously, not very ideal. A lot of data centers can be unreliable. Not all of them, some are great. You know, I've seen some really stellar ones, but this is one of the instances at a law firm where I would have to get butt to the wall and try to Spider-Man walk behind everything and hope that I didn't knock something out of the wall. Things like that can happen. Natural disasters, a lot of times I've encountered in my previous life. You know, road construction, nicks a line, internet's out. Sorry. So that's why we really want to talk about the cloud and why we chose GCP for this project. In this case, with GCP and the other cloud providers, everything is broken down into regions. A region can be a place like here we have, I believe, some regions in North Virginia, South Carolina, Indianapolis, and the West Coast. So scanning the globe is what you want to think about when you think about regions in GCP. Within those regions are availability zones. Those availability zones are separate data centers, which are much neater and look more like this fantasy little picture that we're seeing here. I wish every data center I ever walked into was more like this, to be honest. And also, why GCP? Everybody from Twitter, Target, and PayPal are utilizing GCP in some way, form, or fashion. I am a big fan of GCP because a network can span the entire globe. And what that means for us and FusionReady, we're utilizing Google Kubernetes Engine. We'll reference that quite a bit throughout, and as you already saw, I was using kube control commands to create the pods and the deployment for FusionReady in this case. So when we do that, we're creating a service, and that service exposes a load balancer, and that is a global load balancer. So when you go to that load balancer, that IP address, you're gonna hit an endpoint, a point of presence, somewhere closest to you, wherever you are in the world. It's my favorite thing about load balancers on GCP's platform. So it really helps to be a little bit more reliable that way. And as I said before, the network spans the entire globe. So if we lose an availability zone, that's not terrible. We can spin up in another zone, or we can go spin up in another region. Reasons for doing that might be if you want your deployment closer to your customer or closer to your office. We can utilize zones throughout the world, just in case you want the lowest possible latency that you can achieve. More reasons why you want to go to the cloud? Security. Cloud is, well, GCP, AWS, all the others, they are all rated and certified for workloads such as PCI, DSS, HIPAA, that's another really big one, and FedRAMP, especially here in DC, FedRAMP's a huge talking point. As of now, I don't think that Fusion is FedRAMP itself, but if you want to launch workloads into GCP or AWS or any of the other clouds that we do support, we can do that. We're rated to do so in those cloud providers, and they are certified. So, kind of mentioned it before. Here's how we got Fusion ready for you. Talked a lot about Google Cloud Platform. With Google Cloud Platform, we utilize Terraform. If you're not familiar with Terraform, that is a form of infrastructure as code. I've worked a lot with some of the guys from Google, and it seems like they may have a little more preference towards Terraform as opposed to their own deployment tools for the end users. Terraform is really cool. One of the things I like about it is that I can add comments to my Terraform templates. which lets people know exactly what I'm building. So if I'm just building out a VPC, I can just put a hashtag and go, hey, this is a subnet for this. This is a subnet for that. This firewall rule is only traffic from here. With that, I then store those code, those files in a code repository like GitHub or Bitbucket. It allows you to then do code review with a security officer or somebody on your team. And as I said, putting those comments in helps you with audits. If you ever get audited, things like Terraform is going to help you out a lot. Same with Kubernetes. Kubernetes, everything has a manifest file. Those are YAML files. Again, you can comment on those, add what you need to know about it at a high level. Like, hey, this cluster does this. This service that I'm building is this. It's going to expose it to the world. If you need to build a PVC, a persistent volume claim, you can say what that is and how that works and what it's for. That way, it really helps make it more human for everybody around you and anyone that ever looks at your code. It helps reviewing, and one of my favorite things is DevOps and making it more culturally, just bringing everybody up around you so that I can look at some code and know exactly what it does. That's one of the biggest things that's most important to me. I hope I'm not talking too fast, by the way. All right, and now I'm going to pass the mic over to Chris, and he's going to continue the journey.
All right, thanks, Scott. Hello, everyone. So let's talk a little bit about FusionReady. First thing I'd like to do is talk a little bit about the architecture here, so that you get a sense for what actually is going on. So after we automated the entire deployment with Scott's command there, we used the Terraform to deploy it in containers using Kubernetes. And then we maintain this project for you, so you're never going to touch the back end. You're only going to ever see Fusion. The good thing about it is the hardware is not oversubscribed. It's performant and it's very consistent. And within a few minutes, we can build out these clusters. We're going to work with you to make sure that we size it to your requirements. If you've got 10 million documents, you're obviously going to need a little bit more than someone who just has several thousand documents. So we use SSD storage and virtual machines that are all built out inside the compute engine. So getting data in is fairly easy. We take advantage of the built-in connectors that ship with Fusion, so we can spin up the web connector relatively easily, point it at your website, bring the data in, and if you've got data that lives maybe behind a firewall, or there's not a connector for some of the data, or if we just need to augment what's on your website, maybe you needed to add some additional metadata, we'll expose an API for you so that you can just push content directly into Fusion. So getting data out is just as easy. You can develop your client app to hit the endpoint. It's a secure endpoint for Fusion, and pull the data right out and pull it back as JSON or XML and put it right into your page, however you'd need it. If that is this difficult, or you don't want to spend any time doing any kind of web development, we can deploy App Studio right in the cloud and then expose that for your web visitors, and you can just redirect them over with search, and they'll land on a web page. When they click on the result, they'll come right back to your site. So however you're most comfortable working, we can accommodate. So if you have a use case that requires behind the firewall content, maybe you want to do an intranet, or the links that you click on are all going to be inside your organization, we can separate the App Studio and put it on-premise. It's just a WAR file that can be deployed into Tomcat. So it's pretty easy to separate it and spin it up in other locations. So this brings us to our most common use case for Fusion is site search. We've done a lot of deployments over the years, and site search is still one that everybody that has a website wants search on it in some way, and it's not always an easy thing to do. So we've taken and made it a lot easier so that it doesn't have to be hard anymore. So we'll make sure that what we deliver to you is a out-of-the-box experience that's nice. You're going to have spell checking and suggestions, highlighting, stemming, the things that you would expect that would come with Fusion. So you're not going to have to do a lot of work to get it to customize to what you want. Maybe we'll put your logo on there and maybe make some facets for you. But for the most part, it's going to be out of the box, ready to go. Okay, so it's time for the demo. So let's see if everything's going good. So I'm going to check what Scott did was deployed the Fusion Demo 2 cluster. So if I come over to here, I can see that, I don't know if this is, if you can see this.
The screen's a little bit washed out, but it does look appropriate.
So I can see that Fusion Demo 2, the status says it's okay. I can come over here and I can get the load balancer IP. So this will be the IP that we would share with you to expose Fusion. So let me just grab the IP here, because normally we'd stick this in DNS and give you a name, but since for the demo purposes, we're not going to do that. I'm just going to update my host file with that IP address so we can get to it by name, because we have installed SSL, so we have certificates on there, so it's a better experience if we can use the name. So I just want to make sure that what Scott built is available, because it takes a couple minutes for the pods to get created and for the environment to be built out, the load balancer to get spun up. But then it takes a few minutes for Fusion to start. Fusion starts up Zookeeper and Solar and API and so on. So it takes it a bit. So I'm going to take a look at the logs for this server here, and this will let me know where it is in the boot process. So this tells me that it successfully started everything here, and Fusion's available, at least on that one pod. So I'll go ahead and check all of them here so that this will work right. All right, so that one's available. And I'll check the last one. And that's available. All right. So if I go here, I should be presented with a first-time login screen. First time you log into Fusion, you're going to have to set a password. Let me do that real quick. Agree to the license terms. All right, so there's Fusion. Fusion's up and running. From when Scott pressed the button till now, I now have a 3-node Fusion cluster that's production ready. So normally you would just go and start creating applications or whatever when you get Fusion. But what we've done is we've short-circuited the process. We've saved objects and created templates to make this process a lot easier. So we're going to import a project that's built out pipelines for index pipelines and query pipelines, additional collections for suggestions, some jobs that we created that will pull suggestions out of your search history. So I'm going to go ahead and import that app, and here, so it's just a small zip file that I'll import. Now this takes about a minute to import all these objects, but it's building out all of the underneath collections for signals, and all the pipelines, and everything that's a part of this project. So we're going to let this, let these import, and then we'll be able to get in and do a website. Now the website that we picked today is the real decoy website. So there were a lot of submissions. So this one demo is really good. So for the demo purposes, we're going to use this one. And so we'll be crawling. And one of the things I like to do is to see if there is a sitemap, because it's better to crawl if you have a sitemap. So this does actually have a sitemap, so I'm going to use that. All right, so successful import. I now have a project that's ready to go. With my new project, I can just go and add a web data source very quickly. So, real decoy web. I've already, my imported project already has the pipelines built out. I'm going to go ahead and add that sitemap down here, just for completeness, and click Save. So I've now configured the web connector to crawl the website, so let's go ahead and click Run and start that crawl. All right, crawl's off and running. So now what I'm going to do is, while that's crawling, I'm going to come over to our App Studio interface, and I'm going to upload a WAR file that I built outside of the project. So with App Studio, you can build it outside, and you have a WAR file that can be deployed anywhere. You can also edit it in place here, but it's easier to actually, if you're going to do some more advanced things, and you really want to export it as a project and then maintain it outside for version control and such. So I'm going to go ahead and click Upload here. And when you build them, you do get a distribution. It creates an executable jar file for you, and it also gives you the WAR file. So if I come over to the distribution directory, you can see that there is the WAR file that I've uploaded. But I can also just run this in place as a way to validate what I built. I can run this, so the WAR file I deployed up into Fusion is now going to be pushed out to all of the Fusion nodes in my cluster, so it'll be available on all of them, and it's more of an automated deployment. Here, I'm going to run it locally, and then I can connect out to Fusion when this is running. So because I built it to connect to localhost, I'm going to forward my localhost port to Fusion demo 2. So that way my connections that try to connect to localhost will actually go over there. So we can check our query workbench to make sure that we're getting some content crawled. So I can see that content's coming in, looking good. Come back over to it's now been uploaded, and I can go to view the published UI. First time you connect to it, it's a little bit more of takes a little bit of time to get it going, the first one. while that's going, I can also do a connection to the local host here. Now, for public search, we'll strip out the security so you don't have to log in. But if you're doing intranet search, you're going to obviously want your users to log in. So it does support all of that. Wi-Fi is a little slow, I think. Come on, there it is. Okay. So now we have a website that's been crawled. I have brought it up inside of App Studio. And so currently, there's a job that'll run and it'll pull your searches that came through previously, and it will offer those up as suggestions. And there's a way to tune that job. But if you wanted to actually just put suggestions in, we can do that. All right, so it finally did load over here. There's a built-in collection for suggestions. And here we can pull suggestions in from a variety of places, but I'm going to just upload a file. I'm going to pick a parser that I uploaded to parse suggestions. Just pick a simple CSV file. And save that. And run that really quick to pull in those suggestions into the collection. If I check my history, I see that it's done, and I've got 10 suggestions. So if I come over here and start typing something like Lucidworks, it comes up as a suggestion. I can run a search. Over here on the local, this is the one that's been deployed to it. I start typing or something like Oracle. Click on it, go right to the site. So, if we did I guess we could compare. Sorry about that. Doing good on time? The Wi-Fi is getting a little sluggish. All right. So we come up here and do a search for Lucidworks on their site. So I get some results, and we compare those to what we got here. So Endeca versus Lucidworks. Endeca search. So Endeca search, Endeca versus Lucidworks. So the first two are flip-flop, but that's still the first two suggestions. So the relevancy out of the box is right what you would expect. And it's going to get better as we start capturing signals through App Studio. So the click that brought me to this page sent a signal back into Fusion. So we captured that. So if users come along and run these same searches, we're going to promote the pages that get clicked on the most. So it'll get better over time. And then plus, you'll have access to get in there and get all the insights and run all the reports and do all the stuff that you need to do. And we're here to support you as well. So, I don't know how long it took you guys to implement search on your site, but it probably wasn't the 10 minutes it took us to do it here, right? So really fast to get search ready to go, and this is production ready. So that's pretty much the demo. So with that, I'm gonna turn it back over to Daisy, so she can
give away the Chromebook.
Yeah, and do any questions if we have any questions.
Before I do that, can we just give a round of applause for Scott and Chris, because that's a lot of pressure. And I can't stop glowing because I'm just so proud about this. It's really exciting, guys. All right, thank you guys so much for coming. There's a stop at the booth. Most of the Lucidworks folks are wearing this t-shirt. So if you have questions you want to ask about your specific environment, reach out to one of them. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.